bring in Captain Bob Wells, a retired member of the U.S. Navy and a former national security advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney. Sir, thanks for being with us. Saudi Arabia is now escalating the bombing campaign against the Iranian-backed Houthis. And in fact, the Saudis are now declaring their intention of sending ground troops into Yemen. On the other side, the Ayatollah, he's threatening Saudi Arabia. Where do you see this going?
Well, thank you, Greg. I see it going its due course with the Saudis looking at how they can stabilize these key elements inside Yemen. The rhetoric from Iran is nothing new for the Saudis. In particular, this rhetoric with Ayatollah Khamenei personally citing the king's son as the minister of defense is very troubling. But as you mentioned, the United Nations says it's going to get worse by the hour. It is. It's getting hotter there. This is a very difficult challenge for the Saudis as well as for the future of the region.
Well, let's talk about the United States, because Secretary of State John Kerry is warning Iran to stop its involvement in Yemen. And in fact, he said the U.S. will not allow it. But, you know, at the same time, Kerry is negotiating with Tehran over its nuclear program. Doesn't that actually give Iran leverage over the United States in the nuclear talks?
It does. In fact, the Secretary of State made it clear to the Saudis that we can do two things. One of the good pieces of information recently with regard to U.S. support to Saudi Arabia was Deputy Secretary Blinken's reassurance with regard to arms, logistics, and also intelligence to support this effort inside Yemen. But this rhetoric is going to continue to get escalated. The Iranians need to be put on notice with regard to their particular conduct. They are revolutionary Iran, and I think if you look at the mischief they've caused in the Middle East over the last few decades, in Lebanon, in Iraq, also, if you look at what's happened with the United States and Iran at sea, I've been there watching the Iranian Navy over the course of a better part of 20 years. They are very untrustworthy, and I think the Secretary of State needs to put them on notice and continue to put them on notice.
Captain, last September, President Obama said that in fighting ISIS, he would use the same anti-terror strategy that he employed in Yemen, which he then called a model of success. In fact, 2 weeks ago, the White House insisted it's still a model of success. I don't know how that can be, given that Yemen is now a wreck. But what does that say about President Obama?
Well, I served in the Bush administration. I think we had it right with regard to the counterterrorism strategy. I think we looked at what type of robust capability we needed to basically have a good counterterrorism information-informed strategy. Unfortunately, we've lost our posture in Yemen. We don't have the same capabilities we once had. We've shifted things off into Djibouti and other places in the region. So the President needs to look at the capability and the capacity to conduct counterterrorism operations against Yemen. Al-Qaeda is still on the sidelines, as you know, Greg, and that's very concerning. It's still a global war on terror.
Captain Bob Wells, always great to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Great talking with you, Greg. Thanks, sir.
All right.
America's relations with Cuba taking center stage at the summit of North and South American leaders right now. President Obama and President Castro meeting face-to-face. The latest on the talks out of Panama City, when Arthel Neville and Eric Shawn bring us a new hour of America's News headquarters in 3 minutes. Thank you very much for watching us.